There's the whistle. It's game time again. Welcome to the Three Blind Mice Show. I'm joined as always by my cohorts in crime and fellow authors Don Nardecchia and Jim Borgia. We're all longtime officials with somewhere around 117 years experience. Between us, we finally retired and are writing a book called The Official's Tales, available on Amazon Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and many others. This show will highlight our stories and pertinent topics of the day. Thanks for joining us. How you doing, Don? How you doing, Jim?
Hey, we're good here.
Good. Just had a dentist appointment.
Drilling another hole in your head, huh?
Yeah. Got plenty. I said, that's why you two boys are wearing the hats and I'm not.
That's it,
got that
baby.
extra shine on top.
That's it. Hey, the topic of the day is the referee shortage. Causes, problems, cures. Don, what's your opinion on the referee shortage across America?
Well, it's real. I mean, we saw it coming for a long time, and the state offices just kept saying, you got to get out and recruit. You've got to get out and be strong in recruiting. It's just not. It's not anything that you can do when you're a part-time official. So that's why we're at where we're at. The people in Columbus they weren't really active until it was too late.
Jim, what's your opinion?
Well, like Don said, but when we were having newer guys come to the meetings to take the courses and stuff, from time to time the instructor would bring them over to our regular meetings, and you could see maybe 10, 15 people that are taking the classes. There was a few girls that started to come along with that and everything, and to me, I when I started out and Don started out, we're talking, hey, here's $7.50, $10, and you were doing all that driving and stuff, and as at that time it was the varsity officials that were trying to get their JV guys. And some of these JV officials didn't want to travel to like Bucyrus or Shelby and some of those schools. I mean, that was only like maybe a 40-minute drive, but they didn't want that time all tied up in there. But like over the past couple of years, I've talked to some of the guys that were officiating and still are, that the numbers are down. And when you see some of the videos that you see on Facebook, TV, where fans and coaches and even players are coming out and taking a swing at the referees. So who the hell wants to do that unless you're able to protect yourself and whatever happens.
Yeah, I agree. I think that part of it is training. I think especially basketball officials, football officials, we go through a lot of on-field video training thanks to the new director of officials we've had for the last 10, 15 years. He brought in a gold book, which helped us cover a lot of issues that, everybody was sort of kind of doing their own thing. So that kind of helped. We don't have that for basketball. So I'm kind of hoping that this show and shows like ours will sort of help young officials, older officials, kind of like, we're not telling you how to do it. We're just telling you how we did it. And hopefully maybe you can pick up a few things from us. So the first video we have, we're talking about coaches. Jimmy, you were talking about coaches. It's about a game with two young officials that have to take care of a situation where the coaches just lose their mind. So hang on one second and we'll fire that sucker up. Hold on. Okay, guys, as you can see, like you said, there was probably 2 or 3 of those elements that Jimmy brought up involved there. Okay, you had coaches out of control. You had officials, giving extra warnings. Once you tee somebody up, they're teed up. That's your warning. The third thing there is don't be near the coaches. You've told them the story. They're out on the floor. We got to take care of it from that point and walk away. So, Don, what's your take?
Well, there was a lot going on there for two guys to handle, even if they were experienced. But to the young officials, when you're in this situation, any last second call is you're gonna the max you can please is one team and their supporters. A coach going off on that. Emotional, yeah, but you don't let him continue. And one of the coaches did get a technical foul, which was well deserved. I don't know which one, but most of them deserved one. But then get away. If you called the technical foul, go away from the teams out near the center circle, get with your partner, and relay to him what was said. And then just go where you need to go. Don't stand within or amongst or near either bench after a situation like that. In this case, with two officials, they both go towards their free throw lanes, where at that point they can monitor the benches. But you've done what needed to be done, and what the next thing that should be done is the other official that did not call the technical. When they get ready to resume play, he needs to go over and tell the coach in control. That would be a JV game. It'd be the JV coach, varsity game, the varsity coach. You got to tell them that now, uh, keep those guys settled down because the second technical and they're gone. They can't afford it. That's just what I would always say. I see one coach that looked reasonable and say, hey, you've got to calm down, so-and-so, or even if it's a player, talk to him and bring him back down. He cannot afford another one or he won't be playing next weekend, and make it like you're trying to avoid it from happening by telling them, by reminding them of this.
Right.
And then get on with the game. Get on with the game. And if you have a problem, no more bench warnings. If somebody's out of control, bang them. But keep this in mind, and this didn't pertain so much to this game, but games when one team is behind the other and they're not playing well, they're playing sluggish, you'll find coaches that'll go off on a call, just trying to bait the officials for a technical foul. If you work the game a while, you sense it. They want to get their kids fired up. The kids aren't fired up. Well, don't be the one that fires them up by assessing a technical if it's not needed. More than once, I've gone to a coach whose team was playing poorly and went off about my partner's call. Not you, Jimmy, but my partner's call, which from what I could see, even though it wasn't my area to watch it, I saw a good portion of it, and wasn't even arguable. And I went over and told him, I said, listen, if we have to be here all the way through 32 minutes, so do you, coach. So please go sit down. And I mean, he was everywhere but where he should have been along that sideline at the time when I went over and told him that. And I guess he got the message I was giving him. If your team's going to play like crap, you're going to sit here and watch them because we have to officiate a team playing like crap. We're both in this together. We're both going to be here.
That's it. Jim?
Hey, I agree. My first thought would be, why is there, if I counted right, it looked like at least 6 coaches, and the head coach might have been in a suit. Some of them people be sitting down, or I'll be given another tee that quick. Depends on if you want. If the game's being close, you don't want it to be decided by technical foul. And I've said that to several coaches. Coach, game's too close to be decided by technical foul. So hopefully you'll take care of the situation there. Get them people down there. The only person I want to talk to is you and you alone. That's it. Everybody else, take a seat.
Yeah, you want to talk to
That
the
way
coach?
you know, and the guys then could have talked to the coach maybe out front, maybe 15, 20 feet away from the table. And you get a lot more done that way.
So you want to talk to the organ grinder, not the monkeys.
Right.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll tell you what I saw too, in that, unfortunately, that's the situation that's never covered in the book. They tell you, you get so many T's, you got to sit, blah blah blah. My whole thing is this. They talk about verbal kung fu. The best thing you can do, okay? I teed you up because you were out of control, and we are in an extracurricular situation here, gentlemen. Extracurricular meaning after school participation. If you weren't doing this in a classroom, why are you acting like this in front of children on a court or on a field? And that's why we always say that. Look, it's an extracurricular, and I can tell you, our comments to coaches 9 times out of 10 are, in basketball especially, are you properly equipped? Are you ready to play? You have any questions? And then our next 2 statements are very important, right? What are they? Any questions you have, coach, we will answer. Statements, however, are going to be handled completely different, correct?
That's right.
So
Statements
that's
best be left
Yeah.
to yourself, to yourself.
So, and as far as a coach coming behind the bench, attacking another team's coach, look, we write about that in the book. You'll have to buy it and read the story. It's a very good story about situations like that, where 2 coaches, 2 teams just hate each other, and we have problems. But the key here is to control the game. We have to be game managers, right? We can't just be officials. And everybody thinks you put the stripes on, it's about the rules. It's about controlling the game to the point where nobody gets hurt. The game goes on, and hopefully nobody even notices is on the floor. And, if that means teeing up a coach, sitting them down, or getting them the heck out of the gym, whatever we got to do, we do. So, any other comments, guys?
No, I
No.
think that was just a really, really tough situation for those 2 young guys to be put in. And the best thing, I hope they had a mentor or somebody that in their association just sat them down and talked about it, and they learned from it, learned how to handle it. The call was the call. The problem was everything that transpired after it, and the coaches probably saw these as young guys and thought they could hop on their shoulders and ride them and get the next call, and there's a lot of that going on. But you see them trying that with young guys more so than older guys, unless the older guys haven't been around in that territory. Then everybody tests them once.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they always tested us once.
Hmm.
And then, they except for me, because I was the unapproachable one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Unapproachable. Yeah.
that's it. Our next video actually dovetails into our first video. Not our first video, but our first show. Where we were talking about how important a good pregame is. It's about a PA announcer in Wisconsin, and he talks to the fans about a call, about booing officials and being, overtly rude. But the pregame thing goes to the actual call that should have been made on the court. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and start the video. Hang on one second. And away we go.
A message loud and clear. A local public address announcer tells fans to shut up after they criticize officials at the end of a high school basketball game.
This happened Saturday during a tournament in Germantown. Sam Kramer's here in studio. Sam, His words are reviving calls for change among adult fans.
Yeah, this video is polarizing. Some say his off-script suggestion was unprofessional and crossed a line. But to a group whose support is often lacking and whose numbers now are too, his message couldn't mean more.
With just seconds left in regulation, all the Brookfield Central Lancers need is a bucket for a win over Cedarburg. But at the buzzer, 3 referees have a decision to make. Was the player fouled before the game ended? While they discussed what they saw, a barrage of boos filled the gym, and that led to this.
I would like to take this opportunity to remind all fans, and I should have done this a lot earlier, shut up!
This public address announcer had enough.
The WIAA is always looking for officials, and since you do such a good job from the stands, get on the floor, wear a striped shirt, and do it yourselves.
The reaction at the end says it all for Ken Kester.
You know, it's gone viral for a reason. It's brash, it's over the top, but I certainly support the message.
Kester works for the National Association of Sports Officials based in Racine and officiates WIAA basketball games. He says he talked to the 3 officials on the game who say they felt supported by the announcer's message as they sorted out a complicated ending.
You've got to decide, does a foul occur before the end of regulation? Is the shot off in time? Is it a 2 or a 3?
Hoping this chance to blow the whistle to prevent some foul behavior moving forward.
The number one reason we have a shortage of officials in this country is adult and fan behavior. So if we can draw attention to that and this helps that, great.
Or wear a striped shirt and do it yourselves.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we start by what we would have done? Let's minus the PA announcer, which I could have used in a ton of our games. I would have loved to have that dude. But let's go to just the foul call, and then we'll go to how they reacted and what the PA announcer said. Don, go ahead.
Well, it's a shame we didn't see more of the offensive end of the court. I would have liked to seen the alignment of the officials. And actually, when that player got trapped down on the baseline, that went down the right side of the key and under the baseline, looking for a way to get a basket, and he got shut down under there. I think all eyes in the house were on that. Well, the officials out front should have been watching what was going on a little bit away, especially when that ball started to come out to the front. The kid went up for the shot. It appears it was a 3-point shot, but it was very close. The defender was running right at him and had no intention of stopping running right at him. So he bowled him over. It was too hard to tell if the shot was off before the buzzer. It was too hard to tell if it was a 2 or a 3. But one thing when you get into what, because of the degree of contact there, that in high school would have been declared an intentional foul. And because of that, he would have got 2 shots, or if he was behind the line, he would have got 3 shots. All the ruckus that followed the call, again, you had players, you had coaches on the floor. Wasn't as bad as what was, the coaches weren't as rash as they were, but then the fans went nuts. And I think the guy on the PA did a great job of settling the fans down rather quickly. And I think at times fans holler things that are not likely to come out of their mouths in other situations rather than at a sporting event. And I think it seemed to quiet the crowd pretty quickly. And I think they all just stopped and thought what they were doing. Hooray for the guy. And I'm glad the gentleman from NASO talked to the 3 of them. Like I said, NASO is based in Wisconsin where this incident occurred. And so good for him to getting with his local guys and discussing this.
Jim?
Yeah, I totally agree. I wish we had a few more announcers like that would say certain stuff to settle the crowd down in a way that, hey, it's a game. It's kids. I think it's getting worse with the younger kids than it is with the older ones. After a few years of seasoning, the older kids got a feel for the game. They know how it's played. I know we've all three have done younger kids games where sometimes it looks like the parents are there to support the kids, and they will yell at their kids, and it's like, okay, now do I do what dad says or do I do what the coach says? And they don't know which way to go. And starting at the levels of fourth and fifth grade, teach them how to dribble the ball. Teach them how to dribble. All the other things will come along each year they advance. With the situation with people yelling and screaming like that, come on, really? What happens if your boss yells and screams at you like that at work? Now, what are you going to tell him?
Well, I'll tell you.
So what's he going to tell you? To find another job? You don't go out on the court doing your very first game and you're going to be 100% perfect. The only perfect person in the whole world is the man upstairs. And you know who I'm talking about.
Well,
So-
if anybody that works a perfect game had better retire, as you'll never do it again.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, in 35
That's not the
years-
reason we retired, by the way.
No, just too old. But in 35 years, I didn't call a perfect game. But I will tell you, I did ask. I was asked by a local athletic director, what's causing all this shortage and stuff when it comes to sports officials. And after watching the video, and of course I knew the answer to that before he even got the question out of his mouth, was you're the problem. And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, picture this. You're going to work and nobody's got your back but the other coworkers you have directly beside you. So anything that goes haywire, anything that just happens off the cuff, everybody around you goes absolutely nuts and nobody's there to protect you. That's what these referees are feeling. They're feeling like nobody's got my back. I can write the state, we can suspend this person, but you got all these crazy fans. They come in, they got nothing to do, on a Friday night, especially these small towns, and they just go absolutely nuts. There's actually a few of our stories in the book that's like that, and for me, I thank God I had a good crew my entire coach or reffing time, and we had each other's backs. When somebody went after Don, Jimmy had him. When somebody went after Jim, I had him. And it was just, we had a really, really close crew. I mean, we were a brotherhood. Nobody messed with us out there. We did our job, and we made sure that the kids were safe. The game was played clean, and everybody went home, hopefully uninjured. So, that's my opinion to that story. For now, guys, I think we're coming to the end of this video. Please, everybody, please check us out. We're going to have another video posting soon. Follow us on Facebook, Rumble, Instagram, YouTube, of course, because here we are. And have a great day. You guys have anything else in closing, or?
Yeah, Jimmy, you want to sell any spaghetti sauce?
I gotta make a batch next week. I had donated 2 gallons of meat sauce and 2 gallons of no meat, and a woman called me up today and wanted it here in about 2 weeks. So I'll be making a batch.
Okay,
you
well,
go.
good. Hey, we need to sell a book or two here also. We talked about it before. Officials Tales will be available very soon. We'll have that on this website, place you can go to look at that. This book kind of is our memoirs of a long, long time on the courts and the fields. And we tell some very funny stories that happen. We tell some head scratching stories. There's some heartfelt stuff in there when we talk about the families and how they support us and like that. But I think it's a book that uh, I've called it a ride along book with referees. You get a lot of these spring break movies and the ride along movies, the buddy movies. This is a ride along where you sit in the back seat with some of our conversations one way or the other. The hijinks that take a little bit of pressure off before game. It's like being with us on the court when we have some conversations with the coaches. Some of them funny, some of them just hilarious, and others that again are head scratchers with what are they thinking. I think it's a fun book. It's a book that if you need something for Dad for Father's Day, if you need something for Grandpa, I think they'll enjoy reading this. So that's coming soon. We've put a lot of time into this. Actually, some of these stories go back to our beginnings that are kind of interesting, how it all happened for us, and so that's coming up soon.
Well, I will tell you this. Jimmy will tell you that when all three of us are telling the same story, his is the only true part of the story.
Well, the
However,
truth hurts
Wait a
sometimes.
minute. No. He sees it through rose-colored glasses. You and I were
Ah,
right.
shit.
all right, guys. you have
And
a
so
great
we do
day.
that too as well. If
Yeah.
two of us were involved in a story, you get each version of it, and you can kind of make of it what you want. And there are a couple in there where all three of us are involved, and so it's funny at times to see how each of us saw things.
All right,
Yep.
guys. Have a great day, and
Yeah.
see you on the next show.
Right. Okay. Good night.